Alright, welcome back to another video on to gym vlog number 2. We're going to be doing arms and abs today. Now, I have a bit of a niggle on my abs, so I may end up cutting today's session short, but we'll see how we go. But we'll start off with arms. So we'll superset some dips off the bench with easy bar curls. We'll then move on to some triceps push downs and spider curls, and then we'll finish arms off with overhead triceps extensions and dumbbell curls before moving on to abs and doing some leg raises and decline crunches to finish abs off. Let's get to it. Holy fuck. Gotta hate that. I didn't get completely set up for today's session from yesterday. So I got set up here and then just started, and I forgot to activate the wee ECG that I wear to monitor heart rate. And yeah, oh well, it is what it is. Anyway, yeah. Holy crap. Excuse me, I'm out of breath. That's alright. Don't know how good today's session's going to be. I have some sort of wee strain in my abdominal wall here, and we're doing abs today. So just going to play it by ear and see how I feel. I'm not sure if it's like a wee minor tear or something just in the ab wall, but it's like a wee sharp, pinchy pain. So it is whenever I contract my abs. So we'll see how it affects us. I think we'll be alright doing arms for the most part. My push downs might be a bit of a problem, but I think aside from that, I think we'll be okay with the arms. But I'll just see how I feel come doing the actual ab part of the workout. I may end up cutting that short, just depending on how bad the pain gets. Not the end of the world. Abs is something that I never really trained abs in the past, because, especially in my earlier career, because your abs not that they get a good workout, but your core gets worked out if you're doing like squats and deadlifts and all the heavy compound movements. So your abs is something that you don't need to worry too much about. Unless, of course, you're doing some sort of bodybuilding, in which case you should probably do them. But yeah, just for strength, for functional strength, you only really ever use your abs to brace. So you do. So they got a good enough workout from, like I said, all those heavy compound movements. So if I have to skip doing abs for a week or two, depending on how bad this gets, it's not really the end of the world. I'm not too worried about it. I'll be more worried about pushing through ab day, making whatever the injury is worse, and then not being able to do like other lifts that are sort of more important. So we'll just play it by ear, see how it goes. So in other news, I heard by the time this video comes out, this is Friday. I only heard this yesterday, and sort of today it's all been sort of coming out, but this will be old news, I suppose, by the time this video goes live. But Samson Dauda and Milos Sarcev have split ways. um, which is surprising. But whatever they feel they need to do. Milos wrote a very nice sort of farewell letter to him, wishing him the best. Samson hasn't really addressed it yet, although he hasn't been feeling very well. He said he had to go to the hospital and get a course of antibiotics. I'm not sure if he went to the hospital or if he went to his GP. For those people in America that don't know, in the UK, you typically you would only go to the hospital, or you should only go to the hospital if there's something in the emergency department, or as we call it, the A&E, accident and emergency. If there's something like you've broken an arm or you have a finger hanging off or something, you only go there in an emergency. And for other stuff, if you're feeling under the weather or whatever, you'd go to your general practitioner, your GP. So I'm assuming that if he needed a course of antibiotics because he was feeling rough and under the weather, that he probably just got an emergency appointment with his GP rather than actually going to the hospital. But I don't know the guy, so for all I know, he did rock up in A&E. But yeah, he's been feeling pretty rough. Although he said in an update today that, or was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. He said in the update that he will be doing the Arnold UK, which was good because the Arnold UK lineup, if Harry Chupin doesn't get in, and you have Andre Jack doesn't doing it, and Nexilla, forget Rubio, if they're not doing it, the lineup's pretty thin. Although you do have Akeem Williams and Antoine Valiant, who are two to watch out for him. James Hollingshead as well, and that's something else. Apparently, there's rumours circulating now that James Hollingshead is making a split from Milos, which I think would surprise me, because as far as I know, he only just sort of signed on with Milos in the last 12 months, and I think this was probably his first show with him. So if he's split already, like, if you're going with a coach in bodybuilding, when you're going with a coach, doing one show you're not going to get that much out of it, because the coach is only really learning how your individual body works, and you can't do that in one show. So you can't, take a couple of shows, a couple of peaks, and see how things go, to see what works for you individually. So I'll be surprised if that does turn out to be true. But like I said, this video will not be coming out until Monday, so over the weekend we'll probably we'll maybe find out more. Don't know. Anyway, right, let's hit up another set of these here. I'm actually not sure. I'm going to have to look back at last week's. Easy bar curls. I have a feeling that this is going to sound strange. A lot of the time, what I'm doing is when I'm looking at a weight and judging, or trying to remember what weight I had on last week, I'm imagining the plates that I had on, and I know I had the little progress plates, the little half-kilo progress plates on last week. So I'm going to need to look back and see that I don't have those on this week, but I do have the 2.5s on. I just need to go back and look to see that I have the 2.5s on last week as well as the wee half kilos. I would find it surprising if it did, because this weight feels really heavy, so it does. And I don't know if I could stick another 2.5 on either side and be able to get them. Maybe I should. I think what I'll do is I'll put maybe put a kilo on, or 1.5 kilos. That's what I'll do. I'll put 1.5 kilos on either side. So that'll take us up to. What will that take us to? 30. Yeah, 30. So that would take us to 36 kilos. So it would. And then I'll check after this and see what was on last week. I should really. Since I've started, I used to make a note of everything, but since I've started doing these videos, I've stopped taking a note, because it makes the workouts far too long. So it does. I'm in here for to do a workout that should only take an hour and a half. I'm in for 3 hours. Although a lot of that's down to the fact that there's a lot behind the scenes that you guys don't see, between me sort of trying to find the best position to put a camera to get, and then the lighting in here is absolutely atrocious. Like, I've got a window light to one side and a strip light overhead, so you're either in complete darkness and backlit, in which case you can't see me, you can't see the exercise properly, or it's set up right, but I have to move everything around and sort of jiggery pokery stuff. It also doesn't help that the guy's garage door's painted white. I mean, you can't put the camera facing that way, because you might as well just have it facing the window. You end up with the same problem again. Your exposure's all fucked up. Right, I'm gonna stick a few kilos onto this and see how it goes up. So Fuck. Nearly passed out there, and that's why you should regulate your breathing. My breathing's terrible when I'm lifting. I hold my breath far too much. So that's why I nearly passed out there, bracing myself so much instead of. All right. Yeah, that's the importance of, that illustrates the importance of learning how to breathe properly, which I still haven't learned how to do in how many decades now. So yeah, like I said, I nearly passed out there doing that particular exercise, just because I wasn't breathing properly, and as you can probably tell, I haven't caught my breath yet. Although talking doesn't help. So now that I'm looking at this, I think this is the same weight that I used for the top set last week. So unfortunately, just an exercise in maintenance this week. It is what it is. Maybe, no, do you want to know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a fourth set, but just the curls. I'm not going to do the dips. Dips is starting to hurt my shoulders when my arms are just so far behind my back that way. I'm going to stick the last kilo on either side. That'll take us up to 38 kilos, and I'll see how many reps I can get. And I'm aim for 10, but if I don't get 10, I don't really care, because it'll represent an increase in intensity, and that's the important thing. So I'm going to catch my breath here, and then we'll do a set of that, and then we'll move on to push downs and spider curls, and yeah, okie dokie. That was good. Fuck yeah. Oh. All right, really pleased with that. That's 38 kilos for was it 6 reps, something like that. Yeah. In the first few reps, that actually felt much easier than I thought they were going to feel. So we'll maybe. I think we're going to go for that weight for the top set next week. Maybe even the second set. We'll see. Holy moly. Right. So we could set up here now for push downs and spider curls. So I'm going to drop the weight, but I'm going to back off that weight for the spider curls. Maybe just take a kilo off either side and go back to the weight that I was using last week. The thing is with spider curls, it's very easy, and I've caught myself doing it from time to time as well. It's very easy to turn a spider curl into a drag curl. So it is, especially whenever the weight starts to get up. You start pulling the weight up like this instead of up like this. It's very easy to do. So it is. Not that there's anything wrong with it. A drag curl still a curl. You're still activating the biceps muscle. So you are just where you can. You want your arm to be sort of stretched out in front of you, and so that the muscles feeling the most amount of tension. But yeah, so we'll take a kilo off either side, and we'll see how that goes up. I may have to take more weight off this, just because I did a 4th set of Staunton easy bar curls. But we'll see how it go. So you don't know until you do it. Right? And get set up here, and then we'll do that. I need more fractional weight plates. So I do. Do I have any more? I do have more. Honestly, you can never have too many fucking fractional weight plates. You really can't. Alright, I think I'm going to try and go up on weight again on this triceps push down. I don't know how much. Fuck it, we'll just stick a 1 1/4 on each side, and see if we can get. We'll aim for 12. If I don't get 12, I don't get 12, but we'll aim for 12. So we will. I actually think that's a kilo heavier than what I was at last week on my top set that I've just completed there for the second set. So we'll wang on another kilo and we'll wang on another kilo and a quarter on either side. Debating whether or not I should try and do something similar with this. Stick a maybe a bit too much on that though. I think what I'll do is I'll stick a kilo and a quarter on there, and I'll maybe take a half kilo off this and stick a kilo and a quarter on. Fuck it, we'll stick a kilo and a quarter on both of them and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? The reps will look like shit and I'll know for next week that it was too heavy. And if I really feel bad about it, I can wang it off and do an extra set with a weight that I know I can handle a bit better. Yeah, let's do that. Good idea. I hate doing this, you know. See, fucking, I set the dumbbells up so that I don't have to worry about it the day that I'm actually training, and then I have to break them down, and all because I don't have enough fractional weight plates. That's why in that other video I did a while back, I said about they are quite literally the most important weights in any gym. You can't progress by putting a 20 kilo plate on every lift that you do, but a wee 1 1/4 or a 1 kilo or a half kilo, certainly you can progress nearly any lift by putting one of them on. The only things that you have to watch out for would be the likes of lateral raises, or you know, any of those tiny wee small muscle groups that you're when you're trying to isolate them, you're working them on their own. Those muscles or those muscle groups, those exercises, I should say, are the ones that even a half kilo fractional weight plate sometimes is too much. I would love for somebody to come out, and if any brands, not brands, but if any manufacturers hopping across this particular video and this part of this video, smaller weights please, lighter weights is what we all need. You know what I mean? Something like a quarter kilo and maybe an eighth of a kilo. Plates for the likes of lateral raises would be very, very handy. So it would. I think that's the reason why, and I'm guilty of this too, on your lateral raises, in order to continue progressing them, a lot of people end up, and you hear personal trainers, you see them, the adverts, or not the adverts, I suppose they are adverts in a way, the videos on Facebook and stuff, you see them all the time when they're telling you about depress the shoulders and only use well, that's all fine and well. So it is, you have to remember, a lot of these personal trainers are juiced to the gills, but that's all fine and well. Most people lift their shoulders up and engage their shoulders because they're engaging their traps. The reason why they're doing that is because people find it very, very difficult to find an in-between weight between one that they're able to do comfortably with their shoulders depressed all the time, and a weight that they struggle with, where they have to engage their traps. It's that sort of in-between weight. And just because your lateral raises, I'm sort of picking on them a little bit, but your lateral deltoids are so small, or such a small wee muscle, and the movement's an awkward movement. That's not a movement that you do in everyday life. So all the supporting musculature is, let's say, the supporting musculature is pretty weak in that movement, and you know, moving your arms out to the side. But also on top of that, now that I'm thinking about it, because it's a movement that you're not used to doing in everyday life, your neurological systems aren't like trained to do that movement a whole lot. So finding just the right weight can be challenging. I know I'm guilty of it. Like, I hoik my shoulders up and engage my traps, but I don't mind so much because I do shoulders and traps as one. To me, the shoulders and the traps are all part of the same complex. So they are. You know, your upper back, your rhomboids, your deltoids, your rear deltoids. That's all part of, you know, it's all to do with making your shoulders do this sort of movement. So it is. So I train all of that together as one movement rather than having, so I used to train traps in my back I would have done a trap specific movement, shrugs or whatever, and then on shoulder day used to do upright rows and shoulder day, and I think it was that made me realise, hold on a minute, this is basically just a fancy shrug. So it's a shrug where you pull your elbows up as well, and that's what made me then start to sort of reconsider maybe I'd be better, focusing on back day, focusing more on the lats and the sort of lower and mid traps, and then on shoulder day focus on the upper traps and then the whole deltoids and rhomboids area. There's crossover, and I don't even know. I've seen in my back, I have seen the most improvement since I've started doing it this way. But I don't know if it's right or wrong. So I don't. At some point in the future, I'll probably change it round and mix it up. I'm still seeing gains on back day for my lats and stuff. And I feel like at this point in my life, my back's bigger than it has ever been. So why stop doing something that's quite clearly working? Anyway, right. Let's torture ourselves with seeing how badly we can execute this next set. All right. Over the moon with how that went. Need to just review the last few reps on the spider curl. They might have been a bit iffy, but all in all, felt pretty good. So it did. Felt pretty good. So we'll set up here now for overhead triceps extensions and dumbbell curls, and we'll see. I'm going to use the weight that I used for the top set of dumbbell curls last week. I'm going to stick on for the first set this week and see how it feels. It may, because I've done the extra set of easy bar curls and I've added quite, I've went up in weight on the spider curls, I may find that I'll have to drop back a bit on the dumbbell curls, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So we'll take it from there. If we'll have to drop back, we'll have to drop back. It isn't the end of the world. Even if we go back to if we drop back to the 12.5 kilos, it'll still overall, today will still have represented an increase in intensity by dint of the fact that the other curl exercises have gone up in intensity. So so long as by the end of the workout there's nothing, we've nothing left in the muscle to give, then we know we've done all we can to maximise our gains for this week. Okay, right. I'm gonna cut the camera and get set up. Alright, gonna have to look back at last week's tricep extensions and see what weight I was using. That I thought that I had the same weight on as I had last week. In fact, I'm pretty sure I do, but they felt significantly easier this week than what they did last week. So I'm gonna just wang the rest of the plates on here, the rest of the half kilos for this next set, and see how much more difficult that makes it. I remember last week every single rep felt an absolute fuck ton harder than the rep that came before it. But those went up pretty nicely, so they did. Definitely feeling a really sick pump on the biceps here. So that wee up in intensity earlier has done me good. Now I think I'm gonna stick with that weight for the next set anyway. We'll see how it goes up, and then take it from there. We might do a back off set for the third set instead of just the same, but we'll see. Always leave yourself room to manoeuvre. You don't want to, psychologically speaking, you don't want to commit. No, that's not right. It's not psychologically speaking. The thing is, you don't want to commit to getting the weight up just because, and then you throw the weight about and you risk injuring yourself just because you have it in your head, I have to stay at that weight. But at the same time, it's always good to push yourself. And if you do, then I've done it myself. I do it all the time. Like, where you see a weight and you're just like, that weight is going to move. I'm not going to give up on that. And then you end up, your reps aren't good, and I've done it loads of times. The thing is, don't feel bad about it. Try and recognise when that's happening. And if somebody points it out to you, if you're at the gym and somebody points out, like, here, brother, you could be doing maybe dropping the weight down a wee bit there. Take it on board, try it and see. What have you got to lose? Too many people, I think, get their backs up too easy. They'd be like, oh, I've been doing, I know what I'm doing, I don't need you telling me what I'm doing. Other people aren't telling you what to do, they're just making suggestions. Up to you whether you take that on board or not. And the thing is, if you're never open to taking suggestions from people, you're never going to grow and learn. So you're not. So it's always a good idea where you can to, take it on board and think to yourself, think critically of yourself. Could I be doing that better? Am I not doing it as well as I could do? Is there something for me to grow and develop and learn? Very easy sometimes, and it goes for life in general. It's easy to get yourself into a rut. So it is, you're doing the same thing over and over, especially with something like gym work, where you quite literally have to be doing it over and over and over again in order to see results. So it become easy, or it can become easy to find yourself stuck in that rut where you have to do the same thing over and over and over again to make progress. But at the same time, sometimes it's a great idea to change it up. Your mom, Dr. Mike Israel, he actually put a video out yesterday or the day before touching on that exact subject, the right time, when's the right time to switch up your exercises. And he put together like a little, he called it a formula. I wouldn't call it a formula, it's more like an algorithm. So it is, and if this then that sort of scenario. If he's much more popular than I am on YouTube, so if you're into bodybuilding and enough that you found me in my wee tiny corner of the intertubes, then I'm sure you have already come across Dr. Mike. But he's a brilliant, very intelligent fella, and very funny too. He is. But anyway, right, I'm gonna take a bit of a breather here. Well, I've already had a breather. I'm gonna get stuck into the next set of this. Alright, I'm beginning to think that I didn't have the right weight on the warm-up set of the overhead triceps extensions. But I definitely do now. That's at least 1 kilo heavier than what the top set was last week, or what, in fact it wasn't, it was all sets last week were. I think what I'm going to do is go up to 17 kilos for the final set of this. Now, I'm fully expecting not to be able to get 12, and in fact 10 might even be a bit ambitious, but we'll see how many we can get anyway. So we will for the final set, and then once we've finished arms we'll go on to abs, and I'll see just how bad this little whatever this is, see how bad that gets. I can still feel like a shadow of it. You don't know if you've ever had that. You get like a pain, it's a sharp pain, and then even whenever you don't feel the pain directly, you can feel like I call it a shadow of the pain. It's like generally just like you're more mentally aware that you had a sharp pain there, and it's nearly like your brain's looking out for it or expecting it to come back at any minute. I don't know. So maybe all my sweetie mice running about my head, I don't know. But yeah, so I'll get this set up for the final set of this, and then we'll head on to abs once that's done. Fuck. I went a little bit ambitious there with the overhead triceps extensions. I put on an extra kilo more than I had initially said, and it showed. Don't know if you noticed or not. If you rewind the video, you'll notice that toward the end of the set I brought my hands together and started doing nearly like a hammer overhead, sort of hammer extension, rather than, so the way you're supposed to do it you take your arms out to the side. That's the natural sort of line of force that your triceps works on either side, is in line with your elbow, your shoulder, and your hand all sort of extending. What's the best way to show you it? Like extending like that. So what I did was I took my hands from doing this to doing this. Now you're still hitting the triceps doing that. You're hitting it from a slightly different angle, which means that you're working, that you take the emphasis off some of the heads of the triceps and put it onto different heads. It's not that one's, shouldn't have said that, it's not that you're supposed to do it this way or that way or the other way. You just hit different heads of you hit all the heads of the triceps. No matter what way you do it, you're extending your elbow, you're essentially hitting your triceps, all the heads. The thing is that you can put the emphasis, a bit like leg press, I suppose, you can put the emphasis on the one head or another by where you're, the angle of your hands, where you're extending, how you're extending your elbow. So yeah, it's a good intensifier actually. If that's exactly what I did. I wouldn't have been able to get any more the way I was doing them, but I was able to get a few more the new way. There's an argument to be made, well, why not just rack it? Because, you're not going to burn the other heads out. You could make that argument. I wouldn't agree with it, because like I said, no matter what way you do it, you're hitting all the heads of the triceps, just to a different extent, It's a bit like on the leg press. On the leg press, no matter what way where you put you see these videos on Facebook all the time. Some people they'll say if you want to hit your glutes, you put your feet up high. If you want to hit your quads, you put your feet down low. If you want to hit your adductors, put your feet out wide. If you want to hit the outers, get your outer sweep of your quads, you put your feet in narrow. As if by doing that, all the other bits aren't getting worked at the same time. It's a lot of bullshit. No matter where you put your feet on the plate on a leg extension, you're going to hit your quads, you're going to hit your glutes, you're going to hit your hamstrings, you're going to hit your adductors, you're going to hit the outside here. No matter where you put your feet on the leg press, and it's not what they're saying is wrong. It's the way they're putting it across. It's not that you're doing that. You make it's only if you put your feet low, it's only your quads getting used. All it means when you put your feet low is that your quads are getting worked a wee bit more than they normally would be. But it doesn't matter if you put your feet right at the very bottom or if you put your feet right at the very top. Your quads are still going to get worked. It's just the extent to which they get worked that changes. It's one of those things for the average person going to the gym doesn't think. They see these things on Facebook and think, oh, it must only be a quad exercise if you put your feet down lower. It must only be an outer triceps it must only hit the outer head of the triceps if you put your arms in close, and it must only hit the outers or the long head of the triceps if you put your arms out wide. It's a lot of nonsense. It hits all of it. So it does. It's biomechanics. It's how your joints work. So it is. You know what I mean? Your muscles at the end of the day are there to articulate your joints. So long as whatever exercise you're doing, you're articulating a joint, then all the muscles that are used to articulate that joint will get worked. So, well, anyway, going on a bit of a rant there. Put it back in. Keep the ball on the floor, David. The ball on the floor. Right. So it went pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. I'll get set up here now. I'll see what leg raises feel like. I think I have a feeling that leg raises is what has caused whatever this issue is, because that's exactly where I feel the leg raises, right at the sort of top of the abdominal wall there. But what we can do is, if it is the leg raises that's doing that, and I've just sort of cutting on to this now. Whenever I'm doing the leg raises, I don't just do a leg raise. I do like a little, if you've seen the videos in the past, I kind of do like a little crunch at the end and push my toes up into the air. It's that last little bit that I think might have caused this. So if that's the case, then what we can do is we can just do leg raises, like ordinary leg raises, instead of doing that last wee bit. But we'll see how it goes, see how the pain is. If the pain's not too bad, we'll just crack on and do everything. If the pain's really, really bad, we might have to just call it a day. We don't know. I'll get set up here and do it now. All right, they didn't feel. Oh, they didn't feel too bad, so they didn't. So we'll just continue on there with. We'll continue on with these. So the next test of is the abs torn or not is going to be the uh, the weighted crunch, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So we will. I can feel my energy starting to ebb away now, so I can. It's one of those things. Whenever you start off, like you start a session, especially if you have a good night's sleep, and you start off and you're rip roaring and then you throw everything into it, and by the end of the session you're like, oh right, I'm ready for it to be over now. Yeah, I can never understand. See people that say, "Oh, I love going to the gym." I fucking hate being in the gym. Hate being in the gym, passionately. So I think it's whenever it's over. See, whenever it's over, I feel great. So I think, but when you're actually here, oh, I say that tongue in cheek. You like it really. You just it's one of those things. It's torture while you're doing it. So it is, but you keep your eye on the goal at the end, and whenever it's all finished, it's all said and done. You revel in the endorphin rush or whatever it is, dopamine, endorphins. It's one of those things. Some brain chemical. So it is. Revel in the brain chemicals. And we're going to be doing. I'm not sure if I'm going to get time to do cardio today. I'm supposed to be going swimming, so not for exercise, mind you, just with the kids. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to have time for cardio before then. The plan was, I started quite late this morning. The plan was get into the gym here early, then get an hour of cardio in, and then out for swimming in this afternoon. But time's really starting to kind of press on now. So I might get a half an hour of cardio slipped in before I get to the pool. I don't know. It's not really a big deal, so it's not because I did extra cardio earlier in the week, so it kind of balances itself out okay. So it does. Plus then, even though I'm not swimming for exercise this afternoon, like I will be swimming, so there will be some amount of exercise gets done, of cardio that gets done there, so it is what it is. Right, that's it. Let's finish. Let's do set number 2. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's do set number 2 of leg raises here. Fucking hell. Those leg raises are brilliant. They're really, I always feel like a really good deep burn in the abs whenever I'm doing them. If I haven't talked about the Arnold UK, the men's open, then I should probably do that now. if I have talked about it, then either I'll cut this bit out or you'll just have to listen to it again. What I didn't talk about earlier was the classic physique. The classic physique, Ramon's not going to be there this time round, I don't think. Or at least if he is, I haven't seen confirmation of him being there. It's going to be Wesley Vissers and Urs and Breon. They're kind of like the three top guys. So it'll be interesting to see, can Wesley do what he did at the Arnold Ohio and come in and basically wreck the place. I also saw a comparison of Wesley Vissers at the Olympia and at the Arnold Ohio, and honestly, what he changed between those two was his conditioning. He nailed his conditioning at the Arnold, where he didn't. He came in 10th at the Olympia. Wesley Vissers, honestly, he's one that could give. Now, I don't think he can beat Chris Bumstead at the minute, just because he doesn't have his legs aren't as big as what Chris's legs are, but he's not far away, and his conditioning isn't as, even at the Arnold, his conditioning just wasn't quite as good as what Chris's has been, or Chris's conditioning was at the Olympia. But if Chris was to come in slightly off, and Wesley was to nail it, he would be dangerous. He will be dangerous. And like I said in the last video, like Ramon he's going to have trouble on his hands if Wesley Vissers starts nailing his condition repeatedly and reliably, show after show, because Wesley's just playing bigger than Ramon, and to be honest, it's a hard thing to make up. Whenever someone's bigger than you, no matter how good your structure is, no matter how good your conditioning is, when someone's that much bigger than you, it's very, very difficult to make up to bridge that gap. Now, don't get me wrong, it can be done. So it can. For example, Harry Chopin and Samson Dowda. Samson's much bigger than what Harry is. Say much bigger, overall he's bigger. I don't think the difference between Harry and Samson is as big as the difference between Ramon and Wesley. But I think he's gonna struggle in years to come if he's able to start nailing this condition, and especially if he can bring his legs up. If Wesley can bring his legs up, he's a future Mr. Olympia. There's no doubt about that in my mind. So there's not. At the Arnold UK, the other two to watch out for, Urs and Breon. To be honest, I know Urs was sick in the run up to the Arnold Ohio, and unless he can bring something to the table, it's only 2 weeks or something, or 3 weeks between the Ohio and the UK. So I can't, to be honest, I don't know how much realistically Urs will be able to do in that short a space of time, especially if it involved whatever that illness was. If that involved a lot of muscle loss, which to my eye he looked smaller, although that could have just been because he was up against the competitors. The competitors he was up against were maybe just that much bigger. But I think Breon is probably going to be, if Wesley comes in the way he did at the Arnold Ohio, at the Arnold UK, I think Wesley's going to probably take top spot. But if Wesley's off at all, Breon will get it. So he will. If Breon can come in the way he was at the Arnold Ohio, and I think Urs is likely going to be in third place. So I do. Again, unless he can change something up. Now, the rest of the lineup, I haven't seen any recent updates from the rest of the guys in that lineup. But those are the three, in my mind, those are the three big ones. They're the three to be watching out for. It's a pity that Ramon's not going to be there. It would be great to see a repeat of the Arnold Ohio. So it would, to see, can anyone come in and upset it? But it is what it is. Anyway, let's finish off leg raises here, and then we'll go on to decline crunches. I think I found the culprit. I think I found the culprit. I can definitely feel that wee niggle doing this exercise, so I can definitely feel that. I'm going to keep doing it because it hasn't. I don't think it has gotten bad enough to warrant cutting the session short. We'll see how it goes as the sets progress. Hopefully, it'll not get any worse. If I do feel like getting worse, I'll stop immediately because, like I said, I don't want to jeopardise not being able to do leg press or squats or bench press or whatever, or dumbbell press, or whatever it happens to be. I don't want to put myself out, lose maybe a week, 2 weeks of training, and maybe more, waiting on a silly wee, a silly injury that shouldn't have gotten that bad. If I can help it, if I have to stop short to stop it getting worse so that doesn't happen, then that's a win. But that's definitely what it's either caused it or it has aggravated it. Well, it is what it is. I've said this before on this exercise, and I can just, because I can feel that wee niggle, it has kind of brought it back to the forefront of my mind. You need to be careful whenever you're doing decline crunches or any kind of sit-up for that matter, that you don't use you can turn this into a reverse Nordic curl very quickly. So for anybody that doesn't know, a reverse Nordic curl is when you pull yourself up, but you're using your hip flexors to pull yourself up. Now it's usually done, reverse Nordic curl is usually done, if you imagine yourself on I can't get into that position or I would show you. If you imagine yourself lying on your knees, if you get down onto your knees and then lie right the way back until your shoulder blades touch the floor, and then pull yourself up, don't use your stomach to pull yourself up. You're not trying to crunch up. You just pull yourself up using your hip flexors and your quads to pull yourself up. Very, very good exercise for quads. Really good hypertrophy exercise for quads. I actually think I mentioned that in the last video. Anyway, but you can effectively do the same sort of thing on a sit-up or reverse crunch. And what made me think of it this time is just with the wee niggle that I'm feeling in my ab. I really wanted to hook my feet up and pull myself up on my feet, which would turn it into, you're essentially activating your hip flexors when you're doing that, and the rest of your quads as well. But your hip flexors are the main initiator of that, or that part of the movement anyway. So yeah, when you're doing, and you can do it. I remember when I was a kid, like before I started training properly, I used to do sit-ups with my feet underneath a sofa. And I always felt it in my hip flexors, and for years I didn't realise what was, I was only a kid at the time. I was like 9 or 10 or something, but it didn't I never could understand why my legs were hurting. And it's only whenever I got older I realised actually the reason why your legs are hurting is because that's the muscle you were using to pull yourself up. It wasn't you were using your legs to do a sit-up rather than your abdominals. But that's just something to watch out for when you're doing sit-ups. Make sure you're actually using the way to counter yourself doing it is, rather than hooking your feet and bracing yourself with your feet underneath something, try and brace yourself with the back of your legs. I use the back of my leg on the edge of the bench here, so I do, and kind of try and pull the back and pull my calf into this. Now, it's good to have the wee foot rest there as well, because you can kind of hook your feet up and like, you know, balance it. You can help yourself keep your balance a little bit. I find myself a bit unsteady whenever I'm going back sometimes. But yeah, try and keep the back of your legs pressed in tight to the back of the bench, or at least be pulling your leg in toward your heel, in toward your butt. And if you're doing that, then you can't be using if you're activating your hamstring, you can't be activating your hip flexor at the same time to help out. So I can't. So you can't. Or maybe you can. I'm saying that and I don't know. So I'll have to revise that. I don't know if you can activate. I can't. I can speak only for myself. If I'm pulling my hamstrings tight, if I'm activating my hamstrings, I cannot at the same time activate my hip flexors. So I know that if I'm activating my hamstrings, then I have to be, if I'm still pulling myself up, I have to be using my abs. But that's me. Don't take my word for it. I'm not a sports scientist. Anyway, let's hit up set number 2 of this. Yeah, I think I'm going to be okay to finish this off. So I do. I'm kind of just taking my time with it, and I don't know if it's coming across in the video or not, but I'm actually relaxing at the end of at the extended part, or the lengthened part of the rep. I'm completely relaxing, nearly like they would do with a conventional deadlift, where you put the weight. I'm not a big fan of doing this with exercises if I can help it. I prefer to keep constant tension on whatever muscle I'm working, even with deadlifts. I'm with these, but I'm a bit tentative that with this, just because I don't want it to get worse. So what I'm doing just to help to ameliorate that is, at the lengthened part of the rep, I'm letting the tension go right off the ab, and I'm then bracing myself and then engaging the next rep. The same way that you see people doing conventional deadlifts, they'll lift the weight off the ground, stand up with it, and then take the weight right the way back down, and then let all the tension off at the bottom. I'm doing that with these just to try and ameliorate any likelihood of injury. Don't know if it's the right thing or not to do. Sometimes what you find is, that, or what your body has a tendency to do whenever you let the tension off like that, is to try and explode back out. So from no weight to you take the weight and try and move at the same time, which is a recipe for injury. So it is. So it's all a matter of relax, engage, then initiate the lift. So it's just it's that extra step. We'll finish these up here, and holy moly, the time is really, really getting away from me here today. I actually noticed this with the last sort of gym vlog that I did. The workout took a whole lot longer. Editing took a whole lot longer too, so it did. But yeah, the workout took a whole lot longer. So I don't know, I must do an awful lot of ganching between sets whenever I have to talk to you guys. Don't worry, I love yous. I love yous really. But yes, we'll get another set here done, and then we'll do the wrap up. call it a day. I'll go off, do some cardio, hopefully if I've got time, and then do the next wee bits, do a wee bit of swimming. Right, I'm procrastinating now, in case you can't tell. All right, that was the one that, if there's going to be a straw that broke a camel's back, that was the one. That's the one that I felt the most pain in the ab from, that last set. But hopefully, I didn't feel anything go pop or ping. That's always a good sign. So, yeah, we'll see how that, we'll see how we recover from that. Sometimes this is a good thing, a good point to make as well. Sometimes if you do get a wee injury, it's not a bad idea to do, I think the term for it is active recovery. So where rather than just not do anything, you kind of try and work the muscle that's injured to a degree, and supposedly it helps blood flow and stuff, which aids recovery. So it can make sense if you think about it, I suppose. But yeah, nothing went ping or pop. I didn't feel any sharp pains. There was no chest busters, so we know that, at least I don't think there was, so I don't think I've herniated myself in any way, which is good. So what we'll do here is I'm going to get set up for legs on Monday, and then we'll come back for the wrap up. All right, that's going to be it for arms and abs. Really over the moon with how today's workout went. Added weight, added sets, just overall really, really good, especially given the fact that I had that little bit of a niggle in the abs. So, you know, mustn't grumble, as it were, mustn't grumble. All in all, really, really fantastic workout. Anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, feed the anabolic algorithm with the comments, shares, likes and subscribes, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.